not to touch the earth, not to see the sun. Nothing left to do but run, run, run. Let's run. Let's run. House upon the hill, moon is lying still. Shadows of the trees, witnessing the wild breeze. Come on, baby, run with me. Let's run. Run with me. Run with me. Run with me. Let's run. The mansion is warm at the top of the hill. Rich are the rooms and the comforts there. Red are the arms of luxuriant chairs. And you won't know a thing till you get inside. Dead president's corpse in the driver's car. The engine runs on blue and tar. Come on along, not going very far. To the east to meet the Tsar. Run with me. Run with me. Run with me. Let's run. Some outlaws live by the side of a lake. The minister's daughter is in love with the snake, who lives in a well by the side of the road. Wake up, girl, we're almost home. Hey, come! We should see the gates of morning. We should be inside the evening. Sun, sun, sun. Burn, burn, burn. Sun, sun, sun. Move, move, move. I will get you. I am as a king. I can do anything.
Sir, I'm a calm, and I'm prepared to be a calm when I can save women and children from being shot down in the street, and if you're not, you're nothing but a fool. Reverend Gardner. Reverend Gardner. Then, please watch the light. We cannot take the law into our hands. We pay officers to protect us. In the name of God, please go home. In the name of God, please go home and protect the dignity of our Harlem community.
did the people respond to your pleas last night?
Many did respond. We urged people to go to their homes. Yet many who sought to go to their homes met police roadblocks. And when they told the police that they were trying to get home and they lived in that area, the police said, "I don't care where you live, you get moving." And then they were confronted with billy clubs.
How do you feel about the activities that have been going on the last couple of days?
Well, speaking for myself, I think it should have happened a long time ago, because the Negroes, they ain't gonna get anything by just asking, just demonstrating alone. So maybe if they create a little violence, maybe things will change maybe white folks see the light of things for us. Because, I mean, we wasn't getting anything just demonstrating. The March on Washington, that should have did some good, but it didn't help. So maybe if we use a little violence like the white folks in Mississippi is doing, we'll get more out of it.
This particular person objects. I am colored. We want leaders to lead the people to work, get work for them, find work, educate the children, but not to have them running around acting like crazy people. And then those who agitate them stands in their homes and laugh. Here we have the fools running around, destroying property. If they go breaking up 125th Street, who is going to employ the colored people that are in those stores? Remember, the colored people have nothing to employ the colored people. So then why destroy what you cannot build up? We want the people to have work, education, and respect for law and order. Getting on roofs and throwing missiles down. Last night on my stoop, I was afraid in my own neighborhood. Why should I be afraid to live among my own people? We are not animals, we are human beings. And we demand respect. The citizens of America demand respect. And we do not want this agitating and this killing and carrying on. We do not want it. We are paying the tax.
She can't speak for everybody.
She
speaks for herself. She speaks for herself. She don't speak for the Negroes of Harlem. She speaks for herself.
Well, this thing has been coming up on and on. You know, if you live in the neighborhood long enough, you can see things start to build up. And it's been building up now like 4, 5, 6 weeks. And you can see these things coming on and on. See, like you go toward 125th Street, you can see violence and hate in people's heart.
Well, do you think these riots are accomplishing anything?
Some, they are. They're bringing people closer together. Eventually, it's going to be a civil war. That's the way I feel. It's going to be like it was years and years ago. That's the way it's going to be. Because Negroes, years ago, didn't have any type of ammunition. They knew nothing. But the world is growing a little wiser each day. And they're learning more. And they're more skillful than it was years ago. And it's going to be trouble when they really come down.
Every Sunday morning in Upper Manhattan,
The time of trouble,
before any of the heartfelt hymns come alive,
we know how to look beyond what's on the outside. We know how to look deep on the inside, because you may miss a treasure by judging a book by its cover.
before any of the sermons scripted to set souls on fire are ever spoken.
Now here we stand at 120th Street and Lenox Avenue. And whenever you're
Harlem is already awake.
and you see
The curious have already gathered. Harlem, New York may have been Bill Clinton's second choice, but it is destination number one for some 1.4 million tourists from around the world each year.
to show.
Welcome to
You can
Intruders.
see why Mike that.
Please, I don't mind y'all being out here, but please give me a break. I live in the block.
No problem,
I still
man.
live here.
Asian and European tourists by the busloads in search of an American moment in what has long been called the Mecca of Black America. birthplace of legends and lyrics, revolutions and revolutionaries, where whites from downtown came uptown to dance to black music. This Mecca in the midst of a makeover. After decades of neglect, double-digit unemployment, the ravages of drug abuse in a community where 51% of the adults never finished high school, Harlem had become the metaphor for all that was wrong with urban America. But that image is changing, block by block, brownstone by brownstone.
On this level, we have a living room, a room that was originally, I think, the dining room, but we turned it into a playroom.
A makeover that includes Andrew Kuhn and his wife, Heather Kelly. She's a teacher. He's an investment banker.
To those of us who are not from New York, what's a white guy from St. Louis and a white woman from upstate New York doing in Harlem? You want to take a shot at that, or you want me?
Well, I think that the simple answer is, more space for your money. I think it's the reason a lot of people are moving up here, regardless of race.
What did your friends say when they said, guess what? We found a great place and we're moving to Harlem?
They said that we were crazy and they would never do it. Definitely. What kind of ice cream will you get?
With 2 boys and a 3rd child on the way, they've settled in nicely.
Of course, I know the reputation that Harlem had in the 60s and 70s, but, when you come up here and you see it, you think, where did that come from? When you walk down Convent Avenue, you feel like you're on a street in Europe. It's just gorgeous.
Our neighbors are great. There's a sort of a social dynamic that exists here that just doesn't exist where we lived on the West Side.
Neighbors like David and Paula Hill and their 3 children. David's a real estate developer. Paula's a commercial banker.
Right, but we wanted to stay in the city. We initially started looking in the suburbs, and then we decided that we really wanted to be in the city, and we looked in Harlem because homes were affordable here, and also the types of space, the space that was available, and the detail in the architecture was very different from what we're seeing elsewhere.
From their 4-story home with a balcony and a view, they welcomed the changes in Harlem, and one of their newest neighbors, a former president.
Hey, Bill, stop by.
Just one more brother moving to Harlem.
Exactly. As they said, the first black president.
How are you, my friend?
Good to see you. A president who will come to Harlem, in great part because of Congressman Charles Rangel.
How are you? Good to see you.
I need you to help.
Okay.
Harlem's native son who will welcome Mr. Clinton, regardless of his motives.
Skeptics raise the question that while Bill Clinton's presence may help Harlem, Harlem helps Bill Clinton's legacy because of his problems, because of the Lewinsky history.
Well, I like to get away from Lewinsky, but agree with how you ended up. For whatever reason, the African-American community, thank you, had a feeling for Bill Clinton. And the compassion that they've had, how are you, my friend, went far beyond the mistakes that he made while in his office. I remember leaving my apartment building, and a lady said, an old lady said, I want you to continue to fight for Bill Clinton. And I said, yes, ma'am. And then she said with a scowl, and you keep your pants up, too.
So Harlem is clearly ready for Bill Clinton. But while the former president may find this part of Manhattan a comfortable fit, there are parts of this revival longtime Harlem residents are less comfortable with. Progress has a price. The turning point may have come in the early 1990s, when Harlem was designated one of America's original empowerment zones. Small businesses could obtain low-interest loans. Bigger companies qualified for special incentives to set up shop. It all led to the biggest real estate boom in New York City.
And when you think of a house from the 1970s selling for $20,000 and now being worth nearly $1 million, that that's a far better return than you could get in any stock or other investment.
Architectural historian Michael Adams.
All of the families who lived here were either Irish or German or Catholic or Jewish.
He treats a walk through Harlem like a stroll through a museum.
And here we had this place where Richard Rodgers grew up, the composer of Oklahoma and all these incredible musicals. Then at the house here, number 7, lived the mayor of New York in the 1890s, Mayor Thomas Gilroy.
For Michael Adams, there is a jewel on every corner. And with the changing face of Harlem, cause for concern.
As I walk through Harlem and see people different from me walking around here and obviously living here, I feel a kind of ache and fear that this place that I think of as uniquely representing my heritage and culture is turning into someplace else, and a sense of helplessness in a way to be able to preserve some tangible presence of that African-American cultural capital in this special place.
Gentrification is a word that does not sit well here. An uneasiness reflected in the work of street artist Brett Cook Disney.
This is an assistant principal from around the corner. Because you buy a co-op on 116th Street does not make you a Harlemite. There is a culture here, you know. Prior to when Bill Clinton came, prior to this development, there were people here. There are families here. There are assistant principals here. And that cultural space is not, I think, being considered or supported in the same kind of enthusiasm.
The remake of Harlem also worries Reverend Calvin Butts, pastor of the Abyssinian Baptist Church.
Gentrification is not altogether bad, but unless it is checked, it has the potential of pushing poor people out, and that is not good.
But he is less concerned about what is brought in than what is left out.
Culture. When people come to Harlem, particularly people who come from other countries, especially European visitors, that's what they want. They want to come to the church. Do you have a gospel mass? They want to dance. They want to hear the music, the hip-hop, the bebop.
But the Gap, the Starbucks,
I mean, that's nice, but that's not where they come. And this is the thing that's missing. After residential development, commercial development, educational development, the one thing that Harlem is not doing enough of is cultural development. The clubs, the dance halls, the jazz spots, the theater.
With all this economic development and the businesses and the new homes, is there room for that, you think?
Absolutely, there has to be. Without culture, development falls apart. Without culture, you can't save the children. If nobody's preserving the songs, nobody's preserving the dance, you know, nobody is helping to preserve the flavor. The rappers got it, you know, the flavor. That's what Harlem gives to New York, it's flavor.
It is the flavor of Harlem that has attracted the famous, the fallen, and the millions of faces in between for generations. It is that flavor which could either be spoiled by prosperity or seasoned for the better. Those who have walked this way the longest now wonder which way their Harlem will go.
Former President Clinton opened a new phase of his life today as he opened offices in Harlem, the historic African-American neighborhood here in New York City. CBS's Byron Pitts reports the social, financial, and political impact on the streets and in the business suites.
It's a long way from Hope, Arkansas, but today for Bill Clinton, Harlem felt like home.
You were always there for me, and I will try to be there for you.
The former president made Harlem his second choice when a $900,000 a year office in Midtown Manhattan at taxpayers' expense was widely criticized. So he settled uptown in the largest office space of any former president, a penthouse suite for his staff and visitors from around the world.
Harlem? Oh, I think it's wonderful for Harlem. I really do.
But for all today's excitement and block party atmosphere, there's also a sense of frustration here. For many in Harlem, gentrification is a dirty word.
Keep Harlem black! Keep Harlem strong!
A small group of demonstrators echoed a growing sentiment. Harlem's changing yet again. Once the Mecca of Black America, the birthplace of legends, Harlem had hard times in the 70s. But it's now in the midst of a comeback, thanks in part to federal tax incentives supported by then President Clinton. Major corporations are replacing small black-owned businesses. Wealthier families are moving in, while poor people are moving out.
The price of progress should not be that those who are at the bottom are pushed further down. That, sir, is not progress.
Still, starting today, this is Bill Clinton's neighborhood.
I love you, Harlem. Thank you. God bless you. I feel at home. Thank you.
Home to a former president's legacy and a people's. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Harlem.